It's scary just to have the guts to even think or say, did I make a mistake? Because who wants to fail, especially at something as big as marriage? Hi, I'm David Barefoot, and this is the Holy Shyft podcast. And as a reminder, this is the place we talk about the science and the art of vitality, of vital living. I love the metaphor of a seed. Literally, the definition in some of the early dictionaries was that a seed was the metaphor that within a seed is vitality, life itself waiting to emerge. And so obviously that gets put in a pile of dirt and manure and add some water and some time and some sunlight and, well, not under the dirt, but it germinates and it grows, and that is life force that's growing. The challenge is that life force now is growing and grows into an environment, the world that you live in and that I live in, where it starts to die. Necrosis begins. So on this world, life begins and then everything is dying. Yet, you and I are meant to thrive. We're meant to recognize that we bring life if we choose that choice. And so the word Holy Shyft has the word shift with a Y in it as a reminder that there's a choice in every moment, that there's an intersection where we can choose the other than choice, the set apart, special, intended outcome, the thriving, vital life choice that is leaning into the abundant, unlimited possibilities, or there's just the default path, the path the world takes by nature. All creation, plants, anything that's alive, plants, animals, amoeba, you name it, anything other than you and I, human beings, are automatically dying and just trying to survive until they die. You and I have the chance to respond and make choices that are unique and that promote life and increase life. So today we're going to talk about applying the science and art of vitality and bring it back to marriage. We use that so often here because marriage is this beautiful source of power in life. If you're married, it is intended to be a source of power. Now, I'm pausing because your brain is scrambling already, most likely. In the best of marriages, you've seen times when it's a drain of power. So many people live in a place where it's such a drain of power that it becomes a dead marriage or divorce. We know the statistics, depending on which ones you look at, way above 50%. Ironically, in some of the most affluent places in the country, I just heard a statistic for Orange County, for example, where divorce rate is over 85%. So you got the people with some of the most disposable time, disposable income, and unlimited possibilities. They should have all the room for impact and fulfillment and peace and power and joy and victory in their marriage and as parents and in giving back to the world and creating big businesses and doing great things and having great health. And yet the divorce rate is as high as anywhere on earth. So once again, that's because of the Holy Shyft reality, the reality that there is a choice. We have to take personal responsibility for where we're at. In marriage, that sometimes even includes finding out that you are married to someone that isn't the same person you thought they were when you got married. So that was my reality and my wife's reality. We didn't just fall in love. We were one of those that we just knew. It was so, the only way I know to put it is vibrationally right. It just felt so right. Wow, I'm going to cry. It really was. It was that cool. And I feel like I've said it to this day with my wife that I believe we got lucky because God allowed each of us to be at a stage of life where way ahead of my time, I was connected with my intended self way before I had done the work or the surrender to be living that out. in full, but for a short season, post-divorce, ton of time just surrendered, a ton of time of just giving up on being in control. And so because of that surrendered state, my wife got to see a version of me that's pretty badass, pretty just free and excited and full of vitality and life. The challenge is that version of me wasn't what shows up day to day, especially under load, especially at high pace, and under challenge, because I still had these old stories that had not been dealt with, that I would continue to, when they would show themselves, reinforce them by just taking them and brushing them off and putting them back in a dark closet, moist, dark place within me where they could just continue to grow. And that necrosis, like cancer cells, could just continue to get stronger and have a stronger hold on me. So, but here we are, meeting each other, falling in love. I feel the same was true for my wife, because she had reached a place where she was done with dating. We both had come from a prior divorce, and she had just decided, I give up. I suck at finding the right man. I'm quoting her. And she said, so God, it's up to you. So she was in this surrendered place also. So we get to see the best in each other. We have this vibrational frequency. We fall in love. We get married. Things are great. I see only the things I love about her. She sees only the things she loves about me. And then we start to lean into taking new ground, raising our kids, building a house, a home. And next thing you know, it turns out she has values and priorities associated with domestication that I never saw in her. She had never seen in her. She'd never had the freedom to do it. And at least in the time I knew her. And vice versa, she didn't necessarily recognize that that's not something I had ever prioritized. It's not a life I'd ever known. Based on my background, we won't go into it today, don't have time. But we sat in the driveway one day, both in tears, going, wait a minute, did we make a mistake? And even as we're saying it, we both knew we didn't. But it is scary. If you've been there, you know it is scary just to have the guts to even think or say, did I make a mistake? Because who wants to fail, especially at something as big as marriage? So fortunately, that was a break that would help shape our marriage, because one of the things that attracts us to each other is that we're both fighters. And I just want to pause and say something to you. I don't care what your past has been. You are made to survive, thrive, live, expand, grow, have dominion, multiply, be fruitful in what you do, not just with making babies. That word fruitful means to be fruitful in all things. And so even if you've been a quitter, even if you haven't been what I'm about to describe, and I'm doing this because every time I hear someone else describe a quality that I love, my old stories, the pattern would be, I would compare myself to them and see how I'm not like that. And I'm inviting you, don't do it. You have what I'm about to describe. So here we were sitting on the driveway. We both left that moment, we talked about it later, knowing she's not a quitter and neither am I. And that we just don't give up. We long for the best, and we're not willing to settle for less. So with that said, that's how you're wired as well. It's part of the premise of this holy shift life instead of holy shit life. So back to that why, just as a reminder, at Holy Shift, it's always the concept that we can respond and choose the intended, shifted, desired outcome, or we can just default and allow our old stories and the less than scarcity-based mindset of the world to affect the outcome. So we came out of that, and there's been in and out over the next, from that few years into our marriage, all the way into about the 15th year into our marriage, it'd be in and out of these scenarios where I'd recognize, whoa, my wife is this, not that. I always thought she was this. And if this doesn't change, can I possibly be happy with this instead of that? I love to give examples. I will for today from a time standpoint. You can fill in the blanks for yourself. But just the scenario of domestication, like I said, and her valuing holidays and planning events at the house and hosting people and doing those kinds of things. They're just different for me. There was an aspect of me that's an external introvert, so it takes energy from me. It gives her energy. So all the things that go with that, you could play that out. The point here for a shifted reality in your marriage and the science and art of vitality, you as a man, but I need to call out the man for the moment. You have a responsibility and an opportunity to literally hold space. And your role, I would suggest to you in any setting, your ability to create and hold space for what wants to emerge, for the person you're with or the people you're with, if you're leading a room or leading an event or responsible in any way as a coach of a little league team, whatever the case might be, your ability to create space and then hold that space long enough for somebody to feel safe enough to bring out their true desires and needs and overcome their holy shit moments and their stories from the past so that they can allow the current present to define who they are and what they want instead of the past to define who they are and what they want. It's too important. I'm going to say it again. Your ability, I'm going to be more specific, to be transparent with your wife, which is how you create space. Share with her your fears, your concerns, the fact that you don't have the answer, and yet stand in that gap and not get pouty or not get victim or not get angry and just say, look, I don't know what we're going to do about it, but show both in spirit and soul. Your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotion, and even in your body, show that you're not going anywhere. I'm right here, babe. I don't have all the answers, but we're going to get through this together. With that, you create space. You're holding space that creates a safety for her to lean in. And it's what she longs for. It's the pursuit of her heart so that she feels like she can open up. And the reality is you want the same thing too. It just sounds too chicky for us. So you, women, your ability to also create and hold space for your man, your husband, to be free also is critical. But the responsibility, in my opinion, starts with the man. I can support that, and we'll cover that in another Holy Shyft podcast. But today I just wanted to challenge you as we bring this together that you have the opportunity to apply the science and art of vitality and life in your marriage and have your marriage constantly thriving and being a source of power for the two of you to experience love together more, to experience this love that you receive from God. That's the only way you can give love is to receive it first. So just enjoy his love, let it flow through you into your wife and vice versa, so that in body, soul, and spirit, you can have that oneness, but then let that flow into your kids as you model it, less about what you say and more about how you show up and hold space for them. And then even in all your other endeavors, next thing you know, you feel better. You have more energy. You're willing to work out and put in the reps that are going to yield more vitality in your body. You're literally more available to trust God and lean into your relationship with yourself and God. And so you're thriving there. Because again, thriving in your marriage, now you're also able to thrive in your business and show up in power and be at peace instead of anxious. Be in abundance instead of scarcity so that you're able to see what wants to be seen. You can be the most transparent person in the room, holding space for others, which elevates your power and strength and leadership. You're able to be the most flexible person in the room because you now have more possibilities instead of that scarcity where you can only see one way out of this and therefore you're tight. You've been in business settings where you know what that feels like. So again, the whole point here was it's a chance to thrive in life by you leaning into your marriage, and a way to do that is to bring the science and art of vitality by creating space. How do you do that? Get real about what you're feeling and communicate it. You've just now created space by doing that. You've said, hey, I'm being transparent. You're safe to be transparent. Then you're able to hold that space and just stay in it, even if it's uncomfortable. Even if she gets offended or scared or whatever, your ability to embody in how you're sitting, your body language, and in your thoughts and in your language, you're able to say, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. We'll get through this, babe. And then from there, you hold that space long enough for her to lean in as well. And next thing you know, there's more intimacy, more possibility, more power. It's a shifted moment. I know you want more of them. I do too. So let's continue to journey together. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you know somebody that you believe wants to go from holy shit moments in their life to holy shift moments and live in a shifted state more and more and more, invite them to come join us. Until next time, I'm David Barefoot. We'll see you again on the Holy Shift Podcast.